We bring in Bankrate Chief Financial Analyst Greg McBride and former Labor Assistant Secretary for Employee Benefits Bradford Campbell. Mr. Campbell, I want to begin with you. What does all this mean? I need you to give me a hard and fast description or explanation on what I'm left with if I agree to what Republicans may give us an option for, and that is to be taxed up front versus how it is now, where you're taxed at the end, you take out the money when you're retiring.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back to talk about this, because this is obviously something that would impact, if these rumors turn out to be true, that would impact everyone in how they save for retirement. So right now, when you make a contribution to your 401k plan, that is not money that you're taxed on. And as a result, people have higher take-home income. If the Republican proposal is to only allow the first $2,400 to be pre-tax, and the rest Roth only, meaning that it would be taxable income that you're contributing after tax, then it's going to make everyone's take-home income go down. And so one of the big questions is, will you have the same level of contributions made by people to their 401k plans if they're going to see their after-tax income actually decrease in those first few years in exchange for not having taxation 20 or 30 years down the road when they pull it out? There's a big disconnect between the economics of it and how people may well perceive it and therefore behave accordingly.
Well, let's first hear what Kevin McCarthy said, and he was on Sunday Morning Futures with Maria, and he's the House Majority Leader. Give us a sense of what they plan to do. Listen to how he phrases it, Greg, and then I'll have you comment.
We will protect it, we'll expand the amount that you can invest, but we'll also give you an option to actually not be taxed later in life, not to have that tax burden hovering over you in the future, but actually have greater income in the future.
To me, Greg, option means I get to choose yay or nay. Do you see that actually becoming reality? How will they get revenue if everybody chooses no, leave it the way it is?
Well, yeah, I think, this is the detriment here, Liz, is that you have the potential for people that really value that upfront tax deduction. That's what gets people to save now, that when that goes away and there's an impact on their their take-home pay of contributing the same amount of money, that they're going to contribute less. And so, in the long run, it might be better for people to accumulate more assets on a Roth basis, but not if they're not going to save more. And I think that's the real potential for detriment here, is that particularly middle income or lower income households where every dollar counts, they're looking at their take-home pay and trying to save whatever they can.
Don't you think, Bradford, that we are going to start to see, if they are true, if the rumors are true that somehow the Republicans are going to look to our 401ks to find some type of revenue, that this will discourage people saving for retirement? They'll end up with less money at the end because they didn't save early. They were discouraged by it. And then they'll end up needing to go to the government for things like welfare or some type of dole.
Yeah, I think that is one of the risks of this, is that, as Greg said, and I absolutely agree with him, I think the question is, will people contribute as much under a Roth system as they would have under the other? And frankly, this is a big gamble. We don't know the answer to that question. Congress doesn't know the answer to that question. So if we change the incentives so that what people do know is they're going to have less take-home pay this year, we already have difficulty getting people to save for the future because it's so remote. If the effect of it is now this year and negative, it seems even harder to argue that what may happen in the future would be better. And I also think there's some people, and I have to count myself among them, who fear that a promise made this year by Congress may not be worth much 20 years from now when they promise not to tax it in the future, but we don't really know what future needs might be. I'm worried that Roth may turn out to be an episode of double taxation 20 years from now.
Because we don't know in the end, Greg, what is your best advice to people?
Well, you have to get in the habit early in your career of saving 10 to 15% of your income. Form that habit early. That makes it easier to ramp up your savings as your income grows over time. Particularly for young people, you have to invest aggressively, 90% or more in stocks when you're in those early years of your career. That's how you're going to get that compounded growth. Look, tax laws are always subject to change. We've got to play by the rules that are in effect at what we know at a given point in time. The risk here is that people aren't saving enough now, and anything that changes that and causes people to save even less, I think compounds the problem decades down the road.
Well, good advice from two smart people who understand this stuff. Thank you so much.